I'm Van Sebastian, here with my co-host S.A. Baz Collins for this week's Written on the Edge Season 11, Episode 5 interview. We are joined by Patricia Grayhall. That's right, she's back to share a new book with us.
Woohoo!
Her latest novel, it's a thriller titled Framed. If you haven't seen any of Patricia's previous interviews, let me introduce our guest. She's a retired physician turned acclaimed author whose memoir, Making the Rounds Defying Norms in Love and Medicine, earned a starred Kirkus Review and recognition as one of Kirkus Review's Best 100 Indie Books of 2022. The memoir has won multiple prestigious awards, including the 24 National Indie Excellent Award for LGBTQIA Nonfiction and Memoir, and the 2023 Best Indie Book Award for LGBTQ Memoir. Following the success of that memoir, Patricia co-authored the romance novel Golden Years and Silver Linings with her partner in 2023, which we discussed previous interview. Click here. Her literary range expanded with A Place for Us, a novel, published by She Writes Press in 2025, and Patricia's newest medical legal thriller, Framed, which we're here to discuss today, blends her medical expertise with compelling storytelling, marking her evolution from memoirist to versatile fiction author. Patricia lives with the love of her life on an island in the Pacific Northwest. I am so jealous, where she enjoys other people's dogs and occasional sightings of orca, eagles, otters, and black bears. Patricia, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great to have you back.
hmm
And I know I've just been pumping your previous interviews with us. For folks who haven't listened to those, can you give us like a 2 minute why you decided to go from being in the medical industry to writing?
Sure. So I didn't start writing until 2019. And then, of course, the pandemic was the perfect opportunity to stay home and write. I always
Right.
have a project. So, um, so it started, of course, when I was going through some old journals, about to throw them away. And I realized that my story of foregoing acceptance for authenticity and following my dream against obstacles could be of use to others who are struggling with similar issues.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And we've discussed it. Like I said, we'll fly the link here, but people go listen to it. It was a great interview.
Mhm.
It is definitely a memoir you should pick up. But Patricia, your career has evolved. You are now a thriller novelist.
yeah, so I'm continuously taking courses in writing craft, and although I've received advice that I should stick to one genre and write series and things, I want to write what interests me. And so when
Absolutely.
I started learning about how to um, raise tension and add conflict and put my characters into situations where they have to make difficult moral and ethical choices with consequences. It just seemed a natural progression to go from romance to thriller writing.
Mhm.
Uh, so uh, yeah, so that's how I ended up writing a thriller. It's not only that, but I had a story. I had a real life experience with a colleague in the mid 80s that I worked with, and he was arrested for bank robbery. He was a um, very much of an advocate for worker health and safety, and wrote articles and was very much of an irritant to the petrochemical industry in his locale. And so those of us who had worked with him and knew him to be a person of high integrity, we really suspected that he might have been set up. And of course, we don't really know that for sure. Um, and his story isn't mine to tell. So I made up one, which, uh, which was framed. And, I followed a little bit, some details from that are in the public record with regard to his arrest and his trial.
Mhm.
But the story is fictional. The petrochemical company is fictional.
Mhm.
The location is fictional, but there's some parallels with reality in that the Houston. Well, first I should backtrack and say what the story's about.
Yep. Although we've hinted at it.
Yeah, either that or you can leave us guessing and we'll just make up our own plot.
Well, Joe is the main character is an environmental attorney, and she's putting together a case of a lifetime against World Petrol, one of the largest petrochemical companies in the world. And the evidence that she's relying on is a landmark study from her her friend and physician, Tori, who is doing this study showing significant health impacts in the communities surrounding this petrochemical complex.
Mhm.
And just as her case is getting underway, Tori is arrested for a high-profile armed bank robbery. And Joe is convinced this is a setup.
Mhm.
Someone's trying to silence Tori to keep her findings from seeing the light of day and sabotaging Joe's case. So she begins to try to find out what's going on and uncovers a chilling conspiracy that involves Tori's ex-husband and petrochemical companies and some mysterious woman. And so, she faces a choice. She can either persist and find out what's going on at risk to herself to clear Tori's name,
Mhm.
and also the lives of the community are at stake as well.
Right.
So she can stay and fight or walk away, and Joe's not one to walk away.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be much of a book if she
Yeah,
walked away.
right.
Yeah.
And scene.
That's right.
So there are a lot of things in there. I did not know it was loosely inspired by real life events. That is very cool.
Yeah.
But I also like that your main character is the legal professional because that gives her a lot of insight. Does it also put her career in danger?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she has to deal with her. She's a associate attorney at a law firm,
Mhm.
and the senior partners are like, "Oh no, we don't want to touch this," So
Well, sure, because it's a giant global corporation who wants to go
right,
up against
right.
that.
And also, their main witness has just been arrested for bank robbery, so they want her to back away, but of course she doesn't.
Hmm.
Does she have allies or an ally in law enforcement?
No,
Oh, so she's on her own.
she's on her own.
Okay, okay. Well, aside from that, the pre-work that I did also said that there was, or that Joe had a college crush that makes an appearance in the book.
Yes, it's hard for me to write a book without a little bit of romantic tension.
Hmm.
So there is that. Tori was Joe's first love in
Got
college,
it.
although Tori was straight and nothing ever happened. But there is that tension, along with some other tension. It's not, I mean, romance is not the main focus of the book, but I
Sure.
find that it's useful to develop character and also adds an additional layer of tension.
Well, tension and depth. I mean, exactly. You're absolutely right. We
Right,
don't exist as one thing.
right. So what I have discovered in writing a thriller is that it's like creating a game for the reader,
Hmm.
and thriller readers are smart. They want to figure things out for themselves.
Hmm.
So I had to learn how to, plant some curiosity seeds along the way.
Right.
And the fact that I have two points of view, I have Joe's point of view and Tori's point of view, this allows me to have those characters know things, different things at different times.
Mhm.
And then the reader sometimes knows more than the character knows.
Right.
And so it really is a way to kind of calibrate my surprises, of which I have to have in a thriller. You have to have several. So
Oh,
I have
absolutely.
quite a number of twists.
Turns,
Yeah,
and reveals. Yes.
right.
Now, did you write it intending for the reader to figure things out a minute before the character, or did you plan it for big reveals?
Well, there's no, I mean, all along the way, Joe is finding out new information that alters her perception of what's going on. And of course, Tori is involved in some things that she doesn't reveal to Joe,
Okay.
and in their entirety. And so just when the reader thinks they've got it all figured out, I have a whammy twist.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
My final question, then I'll turn it over to Baz for questions.
Sure.
Your global oil conglomerate, did you make them evil or are they just shady?
Well, I always, all of my books, I try to tackle some real world issue.
Mhm.
So, my first book, it was authenticity and really the power of pursuing your dreams against all obstacles. And my most recent romance was, I tackled issues of queer immigration,
Right.
and also a little bit about relationship dynamics. Some of the exes are abusive and how people find themselves in that situation. But even perfectly normal people find themselves sometimes in that situation. And so this book, yeah, I do speak of the evils of corporate greed over,
Mhm.
environmental stewardship. And so, yeah, the corporation here is acting badly in many ways.
Got it. All right, Baz, questions?
Well, I want to get your feelings as an author because just with the latest revelations in the news about all of the depth of and pervasiveness of the Epstein files and just how wild the story is getting on a day-to-day basis, I
Right.
want to know as an author, as a fellow author, do you not feel a sense of freedom that nothing we make up is ever going to be questioned again?
Yeah, I mean, reality is sometimes stranger than, what
Yeah, I know.
we can make up, for sure. Yeah.
Because
And
it's like the one thing I got out of it is watching like the latest revelations, and because now crypto was invented so they could do the sex trafficking and the money was untraceable. I was like, what? I mean, just the level of what's been exposed. It's like I thought to myself, well, that kind of opens the door for us authors to do just about anything.
yeah, it's true. It's
You
true.
know?
I mean, I do love fiction. I think, I had my one shot at memoir. I don't think I'll do well, I'll never say never, but I really enjoy fiction. I enjoy the freedom and the
Mm.
latitude to make stuff up
Hmm.
to fit the story. Because then, when in memoir, I felt I had to stick very closely to the truth,
Right.
what happened. I wish I could go back and rewrite that memoir, with knowing more about craft at this point.
Mm.
But I think it nevertheless resonated with people. I got, a lot of letters from readers that said that who felt validated, and
Mm.
Yeah.
so that was good. But yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about fiction.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And how life sometimes is wilder than anything we
Oh,
could create,
totally.
you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
But
totally.
now, in the book, is the setting important because you're talking about this corporation kind of thing. So, I mean, did you kind of sometimes as authors, the setting we have also becomes sort of a character in
Sure.
the
Yeah.
story. So, is that the case with yours?
Yeah, the setting is Houston, and out, the petrochemical company is just outside of Houston. Um, and that I chose that for a reason, because there, indeed, there's a very high incidence of cancer along the
Hmm.
Houston ship channel where a lot of petrochemical companies are located. So that has some basis in reality, although the corporation is fictional. Um, and so, yeah, there's, I wouldn't, I would say the setting is a character, because when Joe goes into the neighborhoods to interview uh, potential plaintiffs, and
Mm,
she is appalled by, this big, massive behemoth that's right behind the fence line of some of these people,
right, right.
with its twisting metal stack, and the smell and the noise and everything. So in a way, it is a character. Yeah.
Well, that's good because the reason why I'm asking is because it's kind of fun as fiction writers to have your characters go down a rabbit hole, but what the fun part is that for authors, you're the one making the rabbit hole. So
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
excellent. I love that.
it's true.
So I have two questions before we turn it over to the get to know you questions.
Sure.
One, memoir, romance, thriller. Are
Yeah.
you having a t-shirt made that says I'm a triple threat?
I like that. Yeah.
Because you are. You officially earned it.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
More importantly, is there anything about Framed that you want readers to know that we didn't think to ask?
I'll just say that things are not as they seem as you as you read it along. I just hope people enjoy the ride.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yeah.
All right, Baz.
All
Take
right.
it away.
Okay. So before we get to the get to know you question, just wanted to take a moment to say if you're enjoying what we're doing here, please like, subscribe, comment, do all the things that you know goes on in social media, especially here on YouTube. But also, if you want to help support us, that there's a way that you can do it financially because there are costs involved with what Vance and I have been doing for the last now 11 years. It's been quite a while.
Mm.
Um, and so you can go to buymeacoffee.com/rope podcast, do a one-time donation, or you can go to patreon.com and subscribe there on a monthly basis or buy individual reactions or episodes that we post up there exclusively on Patreon. So that's another way you can do it. And finally, the easiest way that you can do it is by joining our memberships here on YouTube for only 99 cents a month. That's less than a buck. We want to make it financially feasible and for everybody. So throw some pocket change our way and help us keep this all going. And with that in mind, let's get to know our guest a little more. What book, film, or piece of art has had the biggest influence on your writing style?
So, as you know, I'm sure every author has their own voice.
Mm,
So I wouldn't strive to, you know, write in anybody else's voice, but to be a writer, you have to be an avid reader.
hmm
So um, for memoir, I would just say one of my favorite memoirists was Adrienne Brodeur, who wrote Wild Game. And for romance, there's quite a few choices, but I'll pick a couple well-known ones that I thought were especially well written, and that's uh, Taylor Jenkins Reid's Atmosphere, and Yale von Wooden's Safekeep. The latter is probably not as well known, but it's just an incredibly written story. Um, and then for thriller writing, I like to read particularly character-driven thrillers. So I think Tana French is the master of that. But I have also recently enjoyed a thriller by Liz Moore called God of the Woods. So yeah, just I would say there's no one book, but reading widely in the genre in which you would want to write is good. But you should also read outside your genre.
Right. No,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, what fictional or historical character would you invite to march with you at a pride parade?
Oh, Rita Mae Brown, of
Oh,
course.
well, there you go. There you go. Can't get better than that. All right.
Right.
Well, if you or your protagonist had to survive a gay bar karaoke night, what song would you or them belt out?
Um, let's see. That would be She's on My Mind. And I have to She's on My Mind by Rami.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what is a place, real or imagined, that feels like home to you and why?
Well, I have two places. One is Boston because I did my medical training there in the 1970s, and it's just a magical city. I just was when I came there from Phoenix and Salt Lake City, I was just like in heaven, you know. Uh, and so my home, though, for most of my life has been in the Pacific Northwest. So it still is, you know, this is my home.
I have tons of family up there, so I get it.
Yeah.
I do get it. Okay, what's the strangest or most unexpected place you've ever found inspiration for a work of yours?
Well, my favorite place to find inspiration is in my daily workout in the pool.
Well, if it works, it
Yeah.
works.
And that's and that's where I came up with the ending to this thriller. It's just I was in the midst of my workout and I suddenly got this inspiration. So I had to leap out of the pool and dry off and go home. And
Okay,
you
we
know,
can hear all those authors who have writer's block suddenly putting on their bathing suits and saying, let's give it a go.
yeah, right.
Okay, which themes or motifs do you find yourself returning to again and again in your work?
Well, I think romance features in all my books. You know, it's definitely a compelling theme. Also authenticity.
Mm,
And I tackled immigration issues, which are pretty timely, actually.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
You couldn't pick a
yeah,
better time to do it.
yeah, I can't imagine that queer couples of different nationalities are having any
Yeah,
luck immigrating to the United States, even if they wanted to.
yeah.
So, and then, uh, you know, environment is always a theme for me. And in this latest book, Corporate Greed.
Okay, all right. Well, finally, what's a piece of LGBTQ plus culture, music, film, art, or history that has never failed to inspire you?
Uh, well, I was in a conversation last night with women of a certain age, of my age. There's a group that I've been a part of for over 35 years. And, you know, we talked about women's music and how important it was when it's developed in the 70s. And how it still, you know, resonates. And I was thinking about the magazine Lesbian Connection, which got started in 1974 as a result of, you know, actually it started as a concert in Michigan, and how it's lasted for 50 years, which is quite amazing. In print, you know, a print copy gets mailed out free to people. It's just amazing that it's lasted that long. And then I guess the other thing that inspires me is I've been involved in mentoring some, you know, young medical students and residents who are really thoughtfully tackling LGBTQ health issues. So,
Excellent. Okay, well, you made it through our list. Bravo.
Bravo. So, Framed is just out. It's fresh out in the world, right?
it is. It was out on the 20th of January. You want me to hold
Nice.
it up?
Yay.
There
Look at
you
that awesome
go.
cover.
Oh, I love that.
That is, love that thriller cover.
I do too.
Do you
Guaranteed page turner.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have other interviews or appearances set up for it that you want to announce to people?
You know, I actually had my big book launch already at Third Place Books in Seattle. And I do have another interview with Triversity in New York. But other than that, I'm actually going to take a vacation.
Oh, well, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, where is the best place for people to follow you online and keep up with your updates?
Well, the best place is my website, which is that's where I have all my events and recordings and blogs and such. So it's www.patriciagrayhall.com.
Mhm.
And I guess people could also follow me on Amazon and Goodreads and
All right.
All the usual spots.
all the usual
Usual
spots,
spots.
right?
Do you have any final words of wisdom?
Oh, just, you know,
It's too early for that.
it's pretty early. Yeah, I guess my final word of wisdom is just cling to and cherish your community in this in these difficult times.
That part.
Yes. Love it. We'd like to extend a huge thank you to Patricia Grayhall for joining us today. Patricia, thank you so much. And congratulations again on your triple threat new book out in the world. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right, we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. If you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. Our show is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.roguepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Bye-bye now.
What's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.